When a new agent comes out, everyone wants to know what their abilities are, what they do, and if they're going to be meta or not. Every new agent goes through an incubation period where the player base figures out how those new abilities work, what team comps they fit, and ultimately if the agent needs nerfs or buffs. When you want to learn a new agent, you can either play that agent and figure them out yourself, or watch someone else play that agent who might be a little bit better than you. Watching high elo and pro players is a great way to learn a new agent since they typically have a very solid understanding of the game. They can also adapt and optimize that agent's abilities and playstyle very quickly. Today we're going to VOD review 100 Thieves content creator and former pro Hiko as he dominates with Gekko on Ascent. I'm chill and let's get into it. This will probably be one of the more aggressive Gekko rounds you'll see, and it's executed pretty perfectly by the 32-year-old ex-pro. This first round demonstrates the power of Dizzy and the orb mechanic. Hiko hears an enemy push up through tree and blinds for his teammate with perfect timing. In this spot, it's relatively risk-free to pick up Dizzy since he has a teammate nearby and he's in cover. It can be very tempting to recapture your orbs, but sometimes you need to keep your guns up and understand when it's appropriate to do so. I'll show you an example of when not to do it later in the video. Hiko moves up to rafters and uses Mosh to prevent attackers from pushing through while also potentially separating them. He then follows up with a sick right-click drive-by, classic Hiko moment, and continuing with his momentum, uses Dizzy again due to that short cooldown, netting a third pick while smothering the final attacker in wine.
Chat! Gekko sucks on this match. Shut up, chat. Look at that. Look how much poundage I just did.
We'll skip the next couple rounds and take a look at round 4. Here we see Hiko use Dizzy to try and spot some attackers mid, but gets no contact. Remember that Dizzy is more of a recon ability rather than a blind. The blind is more of an added bonus on top of the recon aspect. So just for reference, I want to show you guys exactly where Dizzy can tag from this position. Dizzy's max range is 45 meters, so from where Hiko throws it, it lands about here. So kind of right in the middle of catwalk. Not necessarily as good as Sova's dart, but there have to be some trade-offs with an ability like this. Here's another great way to use Wingman. Hiko wants to ult, but uses Wingman first to confirm there are enemies in tree. This will help him guarantee a detain on any enemy's tree, since it will be nearly impossible for the attackers to shoot the fish before it pops. Quick pro tip on using Thrash, you can actually bunny hop similar to how you normally would in game with your agent, except the difference with Thrash is that you need to actually let go of W to get that better control. I'll show you an example here. Right now I'm jumping and just using A and D. If you do it while holding forward, it looks a little bit like we're kind of fishtailing a little bit more. No pun intended. So Hiko uses Mosh to prevent the attacker mid from moving into cover and wins the round. Notice how thorough and quick Hiko's comms are here as well.
Ulting. He's attained. Knife him, knife him. Nice. One more cat. He flashed. I'm grabbing my ult back. I'm grabbing my Q back. Mollying. Fridge. Molly fridge. He's fridge. He has a peek. Dead.
Since his abilities are very supportive in nature, having your teammates play off of them is very strong. This means your comms only add to the strength as long as your teammates follow through. You get way more potential value out of your teammates if you comm what you're doing with your util. So during round 8, Hiko uses his abilities really well here. This first Molly in tree helps the Killjoy and actually ends up separating the Jet from their team, which is usually how you want to use Mollies on defense. The next play is a really great way of using Dizzy. Unlike other flashes and blinds, you can throw Dizzy really high up in the air and still get full blinds on the enemy, like you just saw here. So here's an example with another flash like Reyna's, which is probably the most similar. When you throw your flash really high up in the air, pretty much as high as you can go, it's gonna have no effect on the agent playing in that corner there. So you would have to kind of throw it a little bit lower, maybe around here, to actually get it to blind. But with Dizzy's, you could throw it all the way up there, and it'll still target the enemy. So after this, Hiko sends out a Wingman to check if any other attackers are pushing tree. He backs up and uses Thrash, finding the Killjoy mid, which eventually gives him a free kill. Ironically, if the Omen didn't fake the plant and TP to B, he could have fought Hiko, saving the Killjoy in mid. Hiko finishes the round with a great read on the Omen. So on round 10, Hiko's team is on economic disadvantage, so getting aggressive here can work in their favor by playing those close ranges and essentially smothering the attackers. The Yoru pushes quickly into A main and gets 2 picks. Hiko decides to prevent the push by the remaining attackers and mollies the entrance. Hiko and a teammate kill the Reyna, and after the Omen gets 2 picks, Hiko uses his Thrash safely in order to guarantee the round win.
I ult. He's attained. Lola. Unlucky for them.
On the first round of attack, Hiko's team rushes through A. A lot of util goes out, including the Omen blind you'll see that hits Door and Gen here. In the smoke, Hiko throws Dizzy, which is important so that he can come out of the smoke with Wingman in hand for the plant. If you ever have an opportunity to plant with Wingman, you probably should. It just allows you to add one more gun to the fight. Hiko throws this Molly Heaven out in the open because he knows that 2 teammates are likely to make contact first, so this isn't as risky as it normally would be. Since his team has rafters and the doors closed, he's able to safely retrieve his orbs. So here, Hiko calms to his Killjoy not to die.
Don't die. Please do not die.
The reason for this is that Hiko is in a very difficult position to fight without much cover. If the Killjoy survives, at least they have a chance at delaying the defuse enough to win the round. Fortunately for Hiko, he has a Frenzy, which is the best sidearm in the game, and gets 2 kills. Real quick, take notice of Hiko's movement here with the Frenzy. We'll slow it down a little bit so you can see what's going on. When you're at this close range with a very mobile weapon like the Frenzy, you want to use that high accuracy to your advantage with these peek shots. This also goes for weapons like the Stinger and the Spectre as well. So just take a look at how accurate these weapons are when you're moving at that close 5-meter range. I can fully move and still be pretty accurate from this range. Just look how many hits I got there. Same thing with the Stinger. And the Spectre. So moral of the story is always move max speed with these weapons from this 5-meter range, especially with guns like the Spectre, Frenzy, and Stinger. And at the end of the round, this is exactly why Hiko told the Killjoy to stay alive, because it's just the right amount of time to stop the defuse.
Damn, I like that.
Good play, good play, good play.
Thank you.
I killed 2.
I stayed alive like you asked.
That's my good little boy.
On round 17, there are a couple things worth pointing out. The first is during the early round after the Killjoy ults are traded. This may seem minor, but even though Hiko sees this Dizzy throw as a mistake, this may actually work to gain some info on the defenders. Dizzy will actually shoot his goop if an enemy is spotted, and since it floats down near the window, it could have tagged an enemy. The great part about this throw is that he can reclaim the orb after using it pretty safely in B main. If he threw it through the window, yes, it would gain more info, but he would have lost the ability for the entire round. So you can actually use Dizzy to spot enemies through the window, but it is a little bit inconsistent since you can't really throw it straight up and have it come straight down without it, you know, kind of just not tagging the enemy there. So what you kind of have to do is almost throw it towards and above the window, and then it actually will work and blind the enemy. This also goes for players on site as well. Same idea, you want to throw it up towards the window, and even then sometimes it doesn't work apparently, so let's try again. There you go. So it's a little weird, a little inconsistent, so I wouldn't always use that, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. The next important part of the round is what Hiko comms to his teammates, and how important it is to know where enemies are positioned throughout the round and throughout the half in general. Understanding enemy patterns and tendencies can really help you figure out the probability that an enemy is in a specific location. Let's take a listen to Hiko's comms.
I flashed somebody at B.
There's 3 there, I'm pretty sure.
Jet was spawn, Omen was sight, Killjoy was sight. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's clear.
Okay. I don't... Actually, I do think so. Jet could have rotated fast, it's possible.
Right after this, Hiko had the right prediction and found Jet on A. He sends Wingman to plant, which allows him to fight the 2 defenders A, and somehow pulls off these kills with just a ghost. Luckily, the enemy Killjoy is a little lost in the sauce, and Hiko clutches the round.
Still talking, dude. You're still talking, dude.
So round 20 starts, and there's 2 things that occur. One good and one bad. The Omen smoke covers top mid, so Hiko uses this opportunity to throw out his Dizzy and catches the Sova off guard in mid. This allows his team to cross through mid after the 2 picks and move towards A. Now this is a great example of how if you're not careful, you can tunnel vision your Gekko orbs and get killed. As soon as Hiko goes to pick it up, he gets picked from Cubby. In this moment, I believe Hiko thought his teammates were in position to make first contact, but the timing was just a little bit off. When you're exposed to multiple angles like that, it may just be best to stay with your teammates and leave your little friends behind, as sad as that sounds. The rest of the rounds are honestly not that great to talk about, and they kind of stumbled their way to victory with a mix of luck and brute force. So we'll end the Hiko Gekko analysis here. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like and leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. Subscribe for more guides like this one, and if you're looking for the next video, check out this one next. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.